Okay. Okay, let me see if I can like scoot over. Scoot over. Oh, getting put this on the floor. Put this on the floor. Oh, okay. Hello. Ooh, okay. I'm like still getting stuff like kind of situated because boom, boom, like that. There we go. All right. Okay, that's not gonna work. So it's going like this. Okay, okay. All right, so I don't think okay, that's a little bit better. All right, so we're gonna read. We're gonna read. Where are we? Okay, we're in Second Samuel. You know what? Should I try to read right now? I'm gonna try to read just a little bit because it's kind of hard to read. So we're in Second Samuel. I think we're at chapter 13. Oh my gosh, you're gonna be a little loud in the back, but it's okay. Honestly, I'm not even finished about it. All right, so chapter. Okay, so we're in chapter 14 of Second Samuel. So turn there, chapter 14 of Second Samuel. So I'm going to say a prayer, and then we're going to get it going. So, dear God, I just pray that you be with me, Lord. This is a new environment. This is a new thing that I'm doing. Help me to be able to focus, even though I have a lot of stuff going on. And I pray that this word really just touches my heart. And in I pray, amen. All right, so chapter 14. So it says, so Joab the son of Zeruiah perceived that the king's heart was concerned about Absalom, and Joab sent to Tekoa and brought them there a wise woman and said, please pretend to be a mourner and put on mourning apparel. Do not anoint yourself with oil, but act like a woman who has been mourning for a long time for the dead. Go to the king and speak to him in this manner. So Joab put words in her mouth. And when the woman of Tekoa spoke to the king, she fell on her face to the ground and prostrated herself and said, help, O king. Then the king said to her, what troubles you? And she answered, indeed, I am a widow. My husband is dead. Now your maidservant has 2 sons, and the 2 sons fought with each other in the field, and there was no one to part them. But one struck the other and killed him. And now the whole family has risen up against your maidservant. And they said, deliver him who struck his brother, that we will execute him for the life of his brother whom he killed, and we will destroy the heir also. So they would extinguish my ember that is left, and leave my husband neither name nor a remnant of the earth. Then the king said to the woman, go to your house, and I will give you orders concerning you. And the woman of Tekoa said to the king, my lord, O king, let the iniquity be on me and my father's house, and the king and his throne be guiltless. So the king said, whoever says anything to you, bring them to me, and he shall not touch you anymore. Then she said, please let the king remember the Lord, O God, and do not permit the avenger of blood to destroy anymore, lest they destroy my son. And he said, as the Lord lives, not one hair of your son shall fall to the ground. Therefore the woman said, please let your maidservant speak another word, my lord the king. And he said, go on. So the woman said, why then have you schemed such a thing against the people of God? For the king speaks this thing as one who is guilty, and that the king does not bring his banished one home again. For surely we will die and become like water spilled on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Yet God does not take away a life, but he devises means. So his banished ones are not expelled from him. Now, therefore, I have come to speak of this thing to the Lord, the king, because the people have made me. You okay? Come here. What's wrong? You good? I want a popsicle. I want a popsicle. You want a popsicle? Okay. I'm going to get you a popsicle. Give me 1 second. Come here. Is this okay? Yeah. All right. I want blue. Okay. I will. Yeah, you gotta be quiet. Okay. I'm gonna try to be done in 20 minutes or something. Okay, is that okay for you? Yeah. All right, go ahead and sit down in there. All right, where was I? For the king will hear and deliver his maidservant from the hand of the men who would destroy me and my son together from the inheritance of God. Your maidservant said, the word of my Lord, the king will not be comforting for the angel of God. So my Lord, the king is discerning good and evil, and may the Lord your God be with you. Hey, we are in 2 Samuel chapter 14 and verse 18. Then the king answered and said to the woman, please do not hide from me anything that I ask you. And the woman said, please let the Lord my king speak. So the king said, is the hand of Joab with you in all of this? And the woman answered and said, as you live, my lord the king, no one can turn the hand to the right nor to the left from anything that my lord king has spoken. For your servant Joab commanded me, and he put all these words in my mouth of your maidservant, to bring this change of affairs. Your servant Joab has done this thing. But my Lord is wise, according to the wisdom of the angel of God, to know everything that is on the earth. And the king said to Joab, all right, I have granted this thing. Therefore, bring back the young man, Absalom. Then Joab fell to the ground on his face and bowed himself and thanked the king. And Joab said, today your servant knows that I have found favor in your sight, my lord, O king, is that the king has fulfilled the request of his servant. So Joab arose and went to Jeshurun and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, let him return to his own house, but do not let him see my face. So Absalom returned to his own house, but did not see the king's face. Now in all of Israel there was no one who praised as much as Absalom for his good looks. 1 second. Okay. Now in all of Israel there was no one who was praised as much as Absalom for his good looks. For the sole of his foot to the crown of his head there was no blemish in him. And when he cut the hair of his head at the end of every year, he cut it because it was heavy on him. When he cut it, he weighed the hair at 200 shekels according to the king's standards. To Absalom were born 3 sons, one daughter whose name was Tamar, and she was a beautiful woman of appearance. And Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem, but did not see the king's face. Therefore Absalom sent for Joab to sing to the king, but he would not come to him. And when he sent him again the second time, he would not come. So he said to his servants, see Joab's field near mine. He has barley there. Go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab arose and came to Absalom's house and said, why have your servants set my field on fire? And Absalom said to Joab, look, I sent to you saying, come here so I may send you to the king to say, why have I come to Jeshurun? It would be better for me to still be there. Now, therefore, let me see the king's face. If there is iniquity in me, let him execute me. So Joab went to the king and told him, and when he had called for Absalom, he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king. Then the king kissed Absalom. So Joab set his field on fire because he would not come. Because why would you not come when I sent for you? Come on now. So chapter 15. After this, it happened that Absalom provided himself with chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him. Now Absalom would rise early and stand beside the way to the gate. So it was whenever, time out, hold on. I just want to make a note of his behavior because Absalom was like, if you're not going to come when I asked you, then I'm going to set this stuff on fire, which we're going to make a note of this because I'm pretty sure he has some reckless behavior later too. Note of his behavior. Okay, boom. Now Absalom, and he would say, your servant is from such and such tribe of Israel. Then Absalom would say to him, look, your case is good and right, but there is no deputy of king to hear you. Moreover, Absalom would say, oh, that I made a judge in the land. And everyone who has a suit or a case would come to me, then I would give him justice. And so it was whenever anyone came to bow down to him that he would put out his hand and they would take him and kiss him. In the manner Absalom acted towards all Israel who came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. So every time they come to him, he's saying, "Oh, I wish I was a king," and saying, "If I was a king, and saying that the stuff that they're doing is right." So he's stealing their hearts behind his dad back. Now it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said to the king, "Please let me go to Hebron and pay the vow which I have made to the Lord. For your servant took a vow while I dwelt in Jeshurun in Syria, saying, If the Lord indeed brings me back to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord." Wait 1 second. What in the world? Gotta keep fixing stuff. Okay. Do-do-do-do-do-do. And the king said to him, "Go in peace." So he arose and went to Hebron. Then Absalom sent spies throughout the tribes of Israel, saying, "As soon as you hear this, the sound of the trumpet, you shall say, 'Absalom reigns in Hebron." Okay, he's still being sneaky. And with Absalom went 200 men and invited them from Jerusalem, and they went along innocently and did not know anything. This is why you got to know who you're following. Then Absalom sent from Ahithophel the Gileonite, David's counselor, from his city to Gilo, which he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy grew for the people with Absalom continuously increased in numbers. Now a messenger came to David saying, "The hearts of the men are with Absalom." So David said to all of his servants who are with him in Jerusalem, "Arise, let us flee, or we shall not escape Absalom. Make haste to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly and bring disaster upon us and strike the day with the edge of the sword." Really, all of this is happening because he did not discipline this boy. Like he done set Joab's field on fire because he was mad he didn't come. Now he getting the people against him. Like, discipline children. You gotta discipline your children. Because even though he allowed him to come back, there was still no real discipline or reconciliation with the stuff that he did. Boom, 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 boom. So David said, with them, "Let us flee." And the king's servant said to the king, "We are your servants, ready to do whatever my lord the king commands." Then the king went out with all of his household after him, but the king left 10 women concubines to keep the house. And the king went out with the people and stopped at the outskirts. Then all of his servants passed before him, and all the Cherethites to the Pelethites and the Gittites. 600 men who followed him from Gath passed before the king. Then the king said to Attai the Gittite, "Why are you going with us? Return and remain with the king. For you are a foreigner and also an exile from your own place. In fact, you came only yesterday. Should I make you wander up and down with us today, since I go I know not where? Return and take your brethren back. Mercy and truth be with you." But Attai answered the king and said, "As the Lord lives and as my lord the king lives, surely in whatever place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or life, even though your servant will be." So he's saying, "I'm rocking with you through whatever." So David also said to Attai, "Go and cross over." Then Attai the Gittite and all the men with the little ones who were with them crossed over. And all the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people crossed over. The king himself who crossed over the brook Kidron, and the people crossed over towards the way of the wilderness. There was Zadok also and the Levite with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they sat down on the ark, and Abiathar went up until the people had finished crossing over the city. Then the king said to Zadok, carry the ark of God back into the city. If I find favor in the eyes of my Lord, he will bring me back and show show me both it and his dwelling place. But if he says thus, I have no delight in you, here I am, let him do to me as seems good to him." The king also said to Zadok the priest, "Are you not a seer? Return to this city in peace. Your 2 sons with you, Ahimaaz your son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. See, I will wait in the plains of the wilderness until word comes back from you to inform me." Therefore, Zadok and Abiathar carried the ark of God back to Jerusalem, and they remained there. So David went up by the ascent of Mount of Olives and wept as he went up. He had his head covered and went barefoot, and all the people who were with him covered their heads and went up, weeping as they went up. Then someone told David, "Ah, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, "O Lord, I pray, turn the counsel of him into foolishness." So he's saying he's praying that he counsels foolishness. Now, what happened when David had come up to the top of the mountain where he worshiped God? There, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with his robe torn and dust on his head. David said to him, "If you go on with me, then you will become a burden to me. But if you return to the city, say to Absalom, I will be your servant, O king, as I was your father's servant previously. I will now be your servant. Then you may defeat the counsel of Ahithophel for me. And do you not have Zadok and Athir the priests with you there? Therefore, it will be that whatever you hear from the king's house, you should tell to them. And indeed, there with them the sons Ahimaaz, Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son. And by them you shall send me everything that you hear." So he's saying, you go be with them, and you tell them that you're going to serve my son as you serve me, and you'll mess up their counsel. And then everything that you hear, you tell it to the priest, and they'll come tell me. So Hushai, David's friend, went into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. Chapter 16, all right? When David was a little past the top of the mountain, there was Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, who met him with a couple saddled donkeys, and on them 200 loaves of bread, 100 clusters of raisins, 100 summer fruits, and a skin of wine. And the king said to Ziba, "What do you mean to do with these?" So Ziba said, "The donkeys are for the king's household to ride on, the bread and the summer fruit for the young men to eat, and the wine for those who are faint in the wilderness to drink." And then the king said, "Where's your master's son?" And Ziba said to the king, "Indeed, he is staying in Jerusalem, for he said, 'Today the house of Israel restore the kingdom of my father to me.'" And the king said to Ziba, Here all that belongs to Mephibosheth is yours." And Ziba said, "I humbly bow to you that I may find favor in your sight, my lord king." Now, when King David came to Bahurim, there was a man from the family of the house of Saul, who was Shimei, the son of Gera, coming from there. And he came out cursing continuously as he came. And he threw stones at David and all the servants of King David. And all the people and all the mighty men were on his right and on his left. Also, Shimei said to them, come out, you bloodthirsty men, you rogue. The Lord has brought you all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose place that you've reigned, and the Lord has delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom your son. So now you are caught in your own evil because you are a bloodthirsty man. You good? Okay. Then Abishai the son of Zeruiah said to the king, "Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Please let me go and take off his head." The king said, What have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Lord has said to him, Curse David. Who then shall say, Why have you done so? And David said to Abishai and his servants, See how my son who came from my own body seeks my life. How much more may this Benjamin? Let him alone and let him curse, for the Lord has ordered him. It may be that the Lord will look upon my affliction that day, and the Lord will repay me good for his cursing this day. That's a good, okay. It may be that the Lord will look upon. This is why we can't always fight every battle that we go through. It may be that the Lord will look upon my affliction, and that the Lord will repay me good for his cursing this day. And that may be so. And as David and his men went along the road, Shimei went along the hillside opposite of him, cursed as he threw stones at him and kicked up dust. Now the king and all the people who were with him became very weary, so they refreshed themselves there. So they out here getting cursed out as they walking, and they just continuing on. And that's how we got to be. Even when we're trying to do something good, and people are like doing crazy stuff, we just got to keep on trekking and hoping that the Lord just do his thing, because it's really not up to us. Meanwhile, Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel was with them. And it was when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, came to Absalom, that Hushai said to Absalom, Long live the king, long live the king. So Absalom said to Hushai, Is this your loyalty to your friend? Why did you not go with your friend? Talking about his dad. And Hushai said to Absalom, No, but whom the Lord and his people and all the men of Israel chose, then I will be, and with him I will remain. Furthermore, whom shall I serve? Should I not serve the presence of his son? As I have served in your father's presence, so I will be in your presence. So he's saying, the same way that I served your dad, I'm going to serve you. Then Absalom said to Ahithophel, give advice as to what we should do. And Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Go into your father's concubines, whom he has left to keep the house, and all of Israel will hear that you are abhorred by your father. Then the hands of all who are with you will be strong." So they pitched a tent for Absalom at the top of the house, and Absalom went into his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. That's disgusting. And now the advice of Ahithophel, which he gave in those days, was as if one had inquired of the oracle of God. So was all the advice of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. So basically, Ahithophel gave him advice, right? But remember that David prayed that the counsel that he gave would be foolish. This is foolish. Absalom going with his father's concubines in sight of all of Israel, like he's showing all of Israel, like, I'm sleeping with my dad's concubines. Like, this is now my house. This is what I'm doing. That is foolish, right? But this, at the same time, I believe is the Lord answering David's prayer, because David prayed foolish, foolish counsel. Chapter 17. This is chapter 17 of Second Samuel for the person who just joined on both TikTok and on YouTube. This is chapter 17 of Second Samuel. Moreover, Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Now let me choose 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue David tonight. I will come upon him while he was weary, weak, and make him afraid, and all the people who are with him will flee, and I will strike only the king. Then I will bring back all the people to you. When all return except the man whom you seek, all the people will be at peace." And that saying pleased Absalom and all the elders of Israel. You see how people turn on you, because even the elders is pleased by that. Then Absalom said, "Now call Hushai the Archite." This is the one that David sent to give foolish counsel and to report back to David. Okay. Um, Now call the Hushai the Archite also, and let us hear what he says too. And when Hushai came to Absalom, Absalom spoke to him, saying, "Ahithophel has spoken in this manner. Shall we do as he says? If not, speak up." So Hushai said to Absalom, "The advice that Ahithophel has given is not good at this time. For," said Hushai, "you know your father and his men, that they are mighty men, and they are enraged in their minds, like a bear robbed of her cubs in the field. Your father is a man of war and will not camp with the people. Surely by now he is hidden in some pit or in another place. And it will be, when some of them are overthrown at first, that whoever hears of it, there is a slaughter among the people who follow Absalom. And even he who is valiant, whose heart is like a lion, will melt completely. For all Israel knows that your father is a mighty man. Those who are with him are a valiant man. Therefore I advise that all Israel be fully gathered to you from Dan to Beersheba, like the sand that is by the sea, for a multitude, and that you will go into battle in person. So we will come upon him in some place where he may be found, and we will fall on him in the dew as the dew falls on the ground. And of him and all the men who are with him, there should not be left much as one. Moreover, if he has withdrawn into a city, then all Israel shall bring ropes to that city, and we will pull into the river until there is not one small stone found there." So Absalom and all the men of Israel said, "The advice of Hushai the Archite is better than the advice of Ahithophel. For the Lord had purposed to defeat the good advice of Ahithophel, to the intent that the Lord may bring disaster on Absalom." Peep game. Foolishness. Do you hear me? Foolishness. Peep game. This is good. When you, first of all, you have to pray for good counsel. So at the end, we need to pray for good counsel. So let's pray for good counsel slash mentorship. So let's start there. Okay. And then let's just say, right, that I just want to point out, the advice that Ahithophel gave was good, because David is still mourning about his child, and the people that are with him, he's telling them, like, I'm not going to be going, like, we're about to be all over the place. We have no real house. We have nowhere really to go. Like, y'all see when he was walking, that dude was throwing rocks at them and kicking up dirt at them, right? So it's gonna get loud, sorry, y'all. So that was good advice to attack them. Like, let's take 12,000 men and attack them. But the mentorship and the leadership and the advice that Hushai gave protected David. And that's why we need good mentorship, and we need people who have a reputation too around us, that other people will listen to them, because he said the opposite and they're going with his advice more than the other advice because they just trust him, even though it's not good. You okay? What's wrong? You good?
Go in there. He's good.
All right, smooth. Um. Oh, you
Look,
wanna
go back in there. I'm not going to tell you again. I'm going to count to 3. You better get in there. 1, 2.
me? Then Hushai said to Zadok and Abiathar the priest, "Thus so Ahithophel advised Absalom and the elders of Israel, and thus I have advised. Now therefore send quickly and tell David, saying, Do not spend the night in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily cross over, lest the king and all the people who are with him be swallowed up." Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz stayed in Rogel, for they dared not to be seen coming into the city, for as a female servant will come and tell them, and they will go and tell King David. Nevertheless, a lad saw them and told Absalom. But both of them went away quickly and came to a man's house in Bahurim, who had a well in his court, and they went down into it. Then the woman took and spread a covering over the well's mouth and spread grain on it, and the thing was not known. And when Absalom's servants came to the woman at the house, they said, "Where are Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" And the woman said to them, "They have gone over the water brook." And when they searched down, could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. And now it came to pass after that they had departed that they came out of the well and went and told King David, and said to King David, "Arise and cross over the water quickly, for thus Ahithophel advised against you." So David and all the people who were with him arose and crossed over to the Jordan. By morning light, not one of them was left who had gone over to the Jordan. Now, when Ahithophel saw that his advice was not followed, he saddled a donkey, arose, and went home to his house, to his city. Then he put his household in order, and he hanged himself and died, and he was buried in his father's tomb. And when David went to Mahanaim, and Absalom crossed over the Jordan, he and all the men of Israel with him. And Absalom made Amasa captain of the army instead of Joab. And Amasa was the son of the man whose name was Jethro, an Israelite, who had gone in to Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, the sister of Zeruiah, Joab's mother. So Israel and Absalom camped in the land of Gilead. Now it happened when David had come to Mahanaim that Shobi, the son of Nahash from Rabbah, and the people of Ammon, Matcher, the son of Amiel, in Lodabar, the and Barzillai, the Gileadite from Rogelim, brought beds, basins, earthen vessels, and wheat and barley and flour, parched grain and beans, lentils and parched seeds, honey and curd, sheep and cheese of the herd, for David and the people were with him to eat. For they said, "The people are hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness." I don't know how much I can read with all this going on. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to stop here. And what time is this? 5:30. Maybe I'll get on at like 8. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll get on at 8. Or maybe I might just get on tomorrow because I'm on baby duty. So I'm gonna say bye, and I'm gonna see y'all later, and we'll start at 2 Samuel chapter 18. Deuces.